Hello, hello, hello. Happy Thursday. How's it going, y'all? Hey, Arnio. Full box. How's it? How's the box doing? I saw you, I saw the stream you plugged last time, the Quebec game show. I didn't get to see it live, but I watched the VODs, which was pretty great. I appreciate you recording your section in both French and English. That was nice. That helped. That helped me personally. It was very cool. So it was nice to see you out of the box. I also saw you on Next Fest. Steam was like, "Have you considered this demo?" So I saw you being a ball of anxiety. Yeah, that's how it is. That's how it should be. You're born for television. Don't worry about it. Hey, Sapphire, are you able to stay for a bit? Appreciate that. Hey, Ryan and Journey. Hey, Nix. Thanks for the hydrate. But yeah, that's great. How's the Next Fest been for you so far? I know it literally just started, but I know people are like tend to be hyper fixated on the metrics. I hope it goes well. I'm sure it will. Your game is already so juicy. All right. So I like literally like dropped the stream yesterday. I guess before I'll get into the code for new viewers and hi YouTube. We're working on an FTL-like in Godot, an isometric 2D kind of starship management game. Nice crunchy, low res pixel art. A 3D ship rendered in isometric 2D. So we're working on tech around that. I'm being able to view these 3D spaces. So yeah, I literally just ended the stream yesterday because I realized I was going to be late to my meeting. Is this using reflection? It's good, you think? Wish lists are going up? That's it. Stonks. Up and to the right. That's great to hear. Full box. All right. So we make the box here. We carve out some space in it. So we have some conundrums to sort out. They're not surprising. They're like probably well. I'm going to put the ceiling on last. I realize it's like really tough. You know what also I haven't tested? Vertical room stuff. But that's because I'm pretty sure we aren't handling it correctly. So I don't want to test it yet. So we're just going to do some room splits. I don't know why I made this so tall. Oh. I am pleased with how the controls work for block placement, though. I'm finding them quite nice. There's usually 2 or 3 ways I can do whatever I want to do. All right, so we're going to try to cut some of this away. Okay, so here's an interesting thing that's happening that shouldn't be happening. We have a hierarchy, so we know where the rooms are. So yeah, so if I move my cursor into this back room, it cuts away the other rooms. The auto tiler doesn't update, which is important, and it's something we need to fix. Because there are no outlines here, like there should be. If we move into one of these rooms on the side, it just cuts away the room in front. But the problem is if we're in the room in front, it also cuts away itself. Just like the one thing we don't want. And that is kind of the mystery I want to solve first. Then we need to think about how to actually make the cutaways work properly. Because, like, we need to cut away near walls. If we're looking in a room, we should be cutting away the near walls. So I don't really have a process for that right now. We used to do this very differently, and it worked, but here's our block hierarchy. So room 0 is obscured by nothing. Room 1 is obscured by room 0. Room 2 is obscured by room 0. Room 3 is obscured by rooms 0, 1, and 2. So the hierarchy being formed is correct. But for some reason, when we go over a room, the room is, well, not always, but that 0th room is erasing itself, which is not good. You found a new game you'll lose your life into? You thought, I might. Is it Bugenics? Because that's the game that everyone seems to be losing their lives into. What are you even playing? All right, so the hierarchy I'm pretty sure is correct. What I'm not sure... Steel Artery Train City Builder. Okay. Take a look at this. All right. So Fullbox should be busy preparing to launch their game, but instead they're playing. Oh, you've been playing the demo. It's part of the next fest. Steel Artery Train City Builder. I like their capsule art. It's like kind of retro, but it's still like high res. Oh, this is nice. Ah. So you've been just losing it on this demo, huh? I don't like the use of the word agents, but I don't know if that's necessarily their fault. Okay, so manage multiracial colonies with thousands of autonomous citizens, balance their needs, manage the economy, create logistics as you explore distant regions to ensure the prosperity of your empire. Fascinating. I was kind of talking about this a little bit with Distant Worlds, because in Distant Worlds you manage the public aspects of an empire, but there's still a whole private industry and economy that you just have to like assist as best you can, but you have no control over it, and that's like really neat. Whoa. The train thing is fascinating. This does look cool. What's this? I'm distracted by this animated banner down here. I like this cover. Oh, there's a unicorn on the front. That's funny. I'm very distracted by this animated Critivo banner. I like that. This looks sick. I like the low-res art. I love the little AI guys without faces. That's totally my jam. That's exactly the sort of thing we do, you know? Ooh, these trash piles. This is, it feels like maybe a little oxygen not included, but, you know, you're not in like an asteroid, you're like on a train. I really like the art. I like the UI significantly less. The UI feels very RimWorld, which is not a compliment. This is cool. I like their building, This is another game where they were like, man, we're gonna need a build tool. And they're like, well, what if the build tool is just the game? This is super cool. Still a demo UI can change. It could. It's usually the thing people want to work on least and gets finalized last. This looks super cool. The fact that the demo is like taking all of your time. So there's goblins and like humans. There's probably some strife. It's very oxygen not included. Okay, cool. Yeah, that's what it looked like. Super cool. Snowpiercer the game. This looks neat. All right, Steel Artery Train City Builder. I will add that to my wish list and probably play the demo. That's cool. Thanks for sharing that. You know, I'm like the worst Steam user. I don't know if I've ever downloaded a demo off of NextFest. I'm someone who almost never wants to play a game before, like, I almost never want to play part of a game. I'm like, I just either get it when it comes out or I don't. I wonder how many people are like that. Your stream streak is at 69 streams right now. Nice, nice, Starship. That's super impressive. A little scary. Very nice. All right. Well, that looked fun, but you got to get back to work, Fullbox. All right. So where do I think this problem is showing up? I'm tempted to try to figure out what the... I want to double check what this combined rooms ends up as. So I think this is causing us a problem. How's everyone doing today? Sorry if I don't see chat as much. I did something the other day where I like absolutely destroyed some kind of muscle in my shoulder or back. And now any kind of movement, like looking left to Twitch chat is like, I'm trying to do it with just my eyes. Coolbox, you're also bad. You never leave reviews. You'll tell people around you about the cool games you play. I think that's fine. I think that's fine. But yeah, I am like that too. There are all these systems you're supposed to engage with. And like leaving reviews is one. And yeah, I do that so rarely. Unless, except as like a personal favor to like a developer. And even then, I think I barely think I've done that. Don't worry. Scope Creep will have a review from me. You know, it'll be positive. I saw a thing about how many wish lists you need to have in like the first 30 days for like the Steam Discovery machine to like pick you up, really. And it's something like 500, which can't be right. Maybe it wasn't 30 days. Maybe it was like a month or two, a couple of months, 2 or 3 months. I don't know. They're all Chris Sikowski numbers, which one can look up. But I remember reading that and being like, what? 500 reviews in like a month or two? That seems hard. You sneezed while crouching the other day and your abs exploded. Growing old is nice. Yeah, exactly, exactly. Yeah, I'll sleep wrong. I'll sleep wrong and then be in pain for like a week. All right, so we're going to figure out what the cursored room is. We'll get an outline of that. And then what we want to do is we want to figure out what the combined rooms are, which is all of the rooms that are obscuring the cursored room. Or rooms, if there are more than one. I just want to see where the discrepancy is. Actually, we can run this in the editor. Whenever I want to keep an eye on the debugger, I like to run it in the editor. Well, this... Oh, there's a rough room. All right. I don't need to be so crazy with it this time. It can be like a much smaller room. And we're just trying to Make sure the side-to-side stuff. Why do I keep trying to put the ceiling in first? That's like not a good approach. All right, so here's the hierarchy, just like we expect. So here, the cursored rooms is 1, and the combined rooms is 1. Okay, here. Oh, I should probably look. Okay, here the cursored rooms is 0, 1, and the combined rooms is 1, 0. This is right. This one will also probably be right. Yeah. What about this one in the back here? Okay, so for some reason... when we start with the first room... Because the thing is, the combined rooms shouldn't include the cursored room. And for most of these cases, that holds true. But for some reason, the initial room, the 0th room, we have a problem with that one, with that specific case, which is interesting. I kind of want you to just show me here. What is the value of the block, not the block cutaways, the cutaway rooms? I want to see the cutaway rooms list for 0. Let's see what the hierarchy is like here. Cutaway rooms, 0. Arneo, you were supposed to work on finishing your game today, but instead you spent like an actual 4 to 5 hours playing with particle process materials again because it's just so damn fun. Yeah, particles, it's easy to get carried away with particles. I get that. Hey, Scotty McDuber, how's it going? Keep forgetting how I want to run this. Is it currently running? Weird. How's it going? All right. We're trying to restore some of the former glory of our cutaway system using the new block structures. Or, you know, post this refactor, this block refactor. And we're taking a compartment-based approach rather than like trying to handle individual blocks really. And it's nice, but we're running into some issues. So what happens when I do this? So that's empty. Yeah, hierarchy here is also empty. Oh, good. I forgot we're not. Okay, so the hierarchy at 0 is 0. So why is that a problem? Last iteration equals cursored room. Next iteration equals combined rooms, cutaway rooms, last iteration. Combined rooms or equal next iteration, last iteration equals combined rooms. I actually don't see how this creates a problem. Understand. Hey, Jacob. How's it going? How's culling going? Yeah, culling is a little different. We do want to do some culling at some point. But we also want that to happen mostly cutaway. Or not cutaway, compartment-based. We're really trying to tie everything around to what is a compartment. What are the sealed rooms? Like... we want to operate on that level as much as possible. Break things down to on a per block basis is rarely as required. So we get this cursed rooms thing. This has a value of 1 for the case that we're curious about. This comes in with the 0 flag set. So the value is 1. Like the 0th index, whatever you want to call it. The first index. And then we assign that value to this. And then we do a combine rooms, passing the cutaway rooms buffer in along with that last iteration, which would say 1. And then somewhere in here, and only in here, only with this specific case do we end up getting the wrong output. And so that's the thing that I'm trying to understand. Is what is causing, when the entry for the buffer for this index is 0, why are we passing through the input room, which is not what we are supposed to be doing? Is it possible it's this room index for int room in input? Heading out, no worries. Take it easy, Sapphire. Arnio, you tried Fabled Footy today. It was fantastic. Awesome. That's great to hear. That's such a fun little fun game that you put together, Jacob. All right, so I think here's what I think's happening. I think we're doing this IEnumerable iteration of this block rooms, and it's giving us, for the 0th room, it's returning 1 for some reason. Let me see if that fits how I think this works. So we have an IEnumerable. The way we'd enumerate, I equals 0. I is less than bitfield 64.length, I plus plus. If has I, yield return I. No, this should start with 0. That should just be fine. So that's, I don't think that's what's happening. Output equals 0, output or equal the entry for the buffer for this index. I just want to see what the heck is going on here. I guess I can do it with the debugger. Keep forgetting I want to run this in the editor here. I know this demo is super boring and I draw it the same way every single time. But, you know, we'll get to the interesting stuff. Okay. Oh. Interesting. So we're not actually going into that. Neat. I see. There's some early... We're actually not going into the loop. Interesting. That explains why we're seeing varying behavior here. Hey, bad cop. How's it going? All right. So why are we not going into this loop? So last iteration. This doesn't totally make sense. This shouldn't be coming through as 0. It should be coming through as 1. Is it not? GDC soon? Yeah, true. The weekend before that, down to jam. Do you have some GDC plans? I don't have much. I'm going to try to go to Slug World on Tuesday. And I'm going to try to make it to the Bad Collective meetup on Wednesday. But Thursday, I have an offsite at work. And then Friday, I don't know about Friday. It's probably some of the least amount of planning I've ever done for a GDC. Why am I spending so much time on this? Here. So, all I want to know, actually, what do we get down here? Okay, so that's not 0. This is 1. And yet, we never seem to reach this scenario. I don't know why I'm testing this again. I know what's happening. So for some reason, even though this value is coming in as 1, for some reason, saying last iteration is this, and next iteration is 0, we're still just passing through this while statement as if they're identical. Okay. Might be getting a pass from someone. Nice, nice. Yeah, it'd be interesting to see what the floor there, the expo hall, would be like this year. But it's a nightmare. Yeah, I think it'll be weird. I mean, a lot of the engines have stopped going. If it's anything like last year. I don't know who's left, honestly. It's all B2B. It's all business to business stuff. I don't think there's much for individual game developers on the expo floor. There'll probably be some cool talks, though. All right, so why is this? Is there like an issue with its equality check? Do you not implement any kind of high equality? That might explain why we're having an issue. Okay. G is before H. Why is this like this? Well, that's a silly old reason for this not to work, but I get it. I've already implemented it for this, right? Yeah, I don't know how much energy I'm gonna have for GDC, because I'm doing down to jam the weekend before. The next solo development jam is gonna be sometime in March, I think. Late March or maybe early April. So there's that, which I don't know if I'm gonna be able to do that, but I like the solo developed jams a lot. Ludum Dare in April. It's gonna be a busy spring. All right, well, this is easy. Okay. So, will this work now? Now that I've actually evaluated. I wonder how that looked before. 'Cause it never complained that it didn't know how to combine, how to compare these things, but for quality, never complained about it yet. All right, let's see if that works now. Kind of weird. I can't imagine that's what was that's what the issue was. We'll figure it out though. The issue we have right now is that the furthermost forward room has a weird state. The other rooms are behaving correctly, the rooms that are further back. For some reason the room is very much in front, at the furthest forward. Okay, how did this work? 0, 1, 1, 0. Interesting. Okay, that's not it. Okay. One zero, 1, 0. 0, 1, 0, 1 is interesting. Ah, okay. Makes you think of ice cream sandwiches. Oh, the little gray boxing we're doing. Yeah, that's funny. All right, so yeah, what's going on here? So the last iteration is set to be the actual rooms that the cursor is over in this part of the loop. Next iteration is set to be 0. And then we never enter this while statement. Very strange. Is next iteration... No. I don't know what's going on here. I guess that's what makes it a bug, huh? That's what makes it fun. I can't wait till we have all our drawing and stuff, all our rendering sorted, and we're concerned about the simulation. We're actually playing around with what's happening. This is so much just a prelude of all the work we need to do. Alright, so we made this. Now if I try to cursor into it. Oh. Next iteration is being created as 1 for some reason instead of 0. That's curious. Even though we're building it as 0, what if we initialize it as default instead? Then what do we get? I'm just going to do this here real quick. It's crazy to look at this at the actual resolution that it is on my screen. What a tiny window. Okay. Okay, so now... Okay, so that part's working. Now it's initializing with 0, which is good. But because we're initializing down here with 0 instead of default, we're seeing the same error down there. Now, if I do this... And what we should see instead we should actually see nothing. Like, I think the correct outcome for this test is for nothing to happen. So if we like go down here, yeah, it cuts away that first room. Go over here, it cuts away the first room. If we go back here, it cuts away all 3 rooms. And then if we go into the front, nothing happens. Perfect. Because there are no compartments in front of this compartment. Okay, so this presents like the next series of choices, which is like, how do we want... Well, I gotta figure out the ceiling. How do we want the walls in the ceiling that are exposed to the outside? How do we want that to work? Are we just gonna say, if you're one of these blocks and you're exposed to an outer block, like a block that's straight up 0, that has no belonging, then we just cut it away, maybe? We should only do that for the room that we are currently in. Okay, I think I know how to do that. Whether it's going to be performant or, you know, whatever, we'll see. All right, cut away interior blocks by cursored rooms. This is probably where we do this. So we figure this out. We figure out this list of the rooms we're interested in. And then what we're going to do... So when we're in here, we say if not get has any of these, continue. Otherwise, what we want to do is we want to say, okay, if it doesn't have any of these combined rooms, continue. I'm actually going to say, kind of want to phrase this a little differently. I want to say if should I just store the room? Block rooms. Say block room equals block rooms dot get absolute coords. And we'll say if block room dot has any actually, this is what we want to do. We want to say this, and then we want to say if well, we don't really want to do a continue. Do it like this. We'll nest it first, just so I can see the logic. We'll say if. Here, well, here's what we do. We'll say if not block room dot has any combined rooms or cursored rooms, then we can continue. And then we can have an easy thing here. We can say if it's this one, if it's this, then all we do is set the cutaway. And then we can say else if. All right, so if this is the case, this early out seems like not terribly helpful for us, but okay, so if we're part of the cursored room, which is the room that the cursor is over, room and or rooms, then what we want to do is we want to do a quick check of our neighbors. So we actually do need this. Actually, no, we don't need the hall. We just need the rooms data. So what we can do is we can say I'll declare these for now. I'll say block rooms, X neighbor equals block rooms dot get it actually needs to be new vector 3i. Here we go. Here's what we're going to do. We'll say vector 3i relative coords equals new vector 3i x y z variable effect. Let's just hold on to this higher up. So we'll take the relative coordinates. So we take the relative coordinates, then we add vector 3i dot x. But then what we need to do is we need to get the absolute coordinates for that. We need to say block. Actually, we can just say get absolute. All right, this should work. This should allow us to clear away the walls in front of a room. Specifically that last set of barriers of walls or floors that like blocks you from outer space. We want to cut those away so we can actually see into the room. All right, and then all we're really doing is we're asking. In fact, we can kind of do this bit by bit, right? All we really want to do is we want to know if any of these is like just 0. Say if not, xneighbor.has any. Actually, here what we can do. No, we have to do this component by component. So if we detect that we're at the edge of outer space here, of like the external space, then what we want to do is we want to cut away this block. And we can actually continue as soon as we've done that. Actually needing this neighbor stuff. Actually, here's what we can do. Actually do this as ORs. Just go through the rest of this. So if any of these are at the edge, we just set the cutaway and we're just done. Well, we don't really need to do a continue. should just set the cutaway. Okay, I think this will work. You know, famous last words here. Let's see what we get. I'm going to try this with just a single room because this should theoretically work with just a single room. That's like part of the reason to do it this way. Oh, why am I? Oh. Look at me. I tried to just Control Z. As if I had implemented a Control Z yet. It'd be pretty easy to do, though. All right. Hey, that's close to what we want. Not exactly, but it's close. Not exactly what I want. And you know what's kind of annoying is it's kind of hard to work in this space. But that's partly a side effect of the way I've built this. I can still do stuff in here. It's a little twitchy. So the auto tiler needs to be fixed. That's for sure. The auto tiler doesn't understand cutaways anymore. It's not good. Okay, so now we have 4 rooms. So this is... I don't hate this. I don't love it, but I don't hate it. It's close to what we had. Hey, Ironic Moronic. It's been a minute. How's it going? Do you ever think you should just make a 3D game? No, I don't think that. I don't know how to make 3D art. I barely know how to make pixel art. There's also an aesthetic I'm going for that I couldn't achieve. I tried. I did some tests. I did testing. See if I could achieve a decent aesthetic with like Sprite 3D and stuff like that. And like down-resing and stuff. It didn't give me the precision that I wanted. Okay. You know what I really want? I want like the scroll through for the cursor instead of the hack that I'm doing right now. Which is just sending the cursor down through the Z levels manually to trigger it. Up and down the Z levels. I want to just scroll in and out. I just want to be able to scroll along this ray from the camera to the mouse and actually just alter it that way. That's what I would like to be able to do. Hey, Zossi, thank you for the follow. Yeah, so we need to tighten up the auto tiler. The auto tiler doesn't know how to handle these cutaways at the moment. I actually don't know if I think that's okay. No, I think I want to re-outline for whatever you can actually see. This is close. What we also need to figure out, which I don't think is working, is the 3D part. Alright, we can probably turn this debug off. I don't think I need to know about the hierarchy anymore. Oh, maybe I do for a moment. Maybe I'm not done. We don't use the Z. This Z check, I disabled this Z check because I didn't understand how it worked. But I know I need some kind of Z test. Kind of want to... No, I guess it's nice to be able to directly access the span. Okay, so we do this initial test here for the Z. So if position Z block is not equal to default and position Z block has the same rooms as the negative X and the negative Y, and the room count is 1, then get us the index of the first room, and then set the hierarchy.span index as this block without this index. Should be room. I feel like I already defined room down here. So positive X blocks has room. So if it doesn't have this room, why do we say positive X block dot clear room? It doesn't have it, so why do we need to clear it? And then what are we changing? Is my question. I don't understand how the hierarchy works. It works, but I don't understand how. That is such classic programmer problem. I'm I wrote this system. It seems to be working exactly as it was intended to. I don't totally know why. Positive X block plus X. Oh, we want all the rest. I see. It's the positive neighbor. We want all of your rooms except our current room. Okay, never mind. I understand how that works. The only real question is this work like this? I think this should be fine. This should allow the hierarchy to be able to handle vertical changes. And this should actually work exactly the way we want it to here. Hey, Jeg. How's it going? We are chilling. We're working on an FTL-like game, an isometric 2D starship management game in Godot. We're working on a cutaway system. How are you doing? Happy Thursday. Welcome in. Very strange how this works. I don't totally understand it. All right, let's try to stack this and see how that works. No promises that the vertical compartment hierarchy is working right now. But we're gonna try. We're gonna do our darndest. So we'll make one set of rooms up here. Okay, so I mean, this works horizontally. It's doing the thing. Kind of like how this works. If we really were going to make it the way the old system works, we would raise the elevation a little bit. So you'd see the threshold on the bottommost block. Like on the, you'd be able to see one high wall sticking up. And like, that was cool. But I think if we can avoid it, I think that would be good. And I kind of like how the middle hall creates a negative space. The middle hull is the dark gray, which is like the interstitial material. I kind of like how that looks. All right, so what we're gonna do now, which I think I made a really difficult way to do this, is I'm gonna try to... Actually, did I need to do this the other way? Like, can I actually just straight up not see what I'm trying to work with? This is a good argument for enabling the other cutaway model while in edit mode. Not the compartment-based one, but the one that's just cursor-based. Because I can't actually see what I'm doing. What we could do is have it as an alternative. Because I don't actually want to depend on that one. I don't really like that cutaway model. This is not the right part. Here we go. All right, this seems to work. Get rid of that old code. Yeah, I think we're going to use this as an alternative. We'll say... So we'll say this. So we'll do this. If this and this, we'll do this. Else, we'll do this. Actually, it'll be else if this. The cutaway system actually should only really... This version of the cutaway system should really only work if we're in edit mode. So I think we'll do that. That should make it easier to build. Should. I've got this, and well, so if I don't do that, if I just leave this as this solid thing, then this is the cutaway that we're expecting to see. So this is like the full per block cutaway, which, yeah, I think is appropriate in edit mode and at no other time. You know what we need to re-enable soon is the overlays for like the selection and the cursor. I'm gonna re-enable this. So I feel like we're almost always, like, our gains are so small. Like the new feature gains are always so small, and I feel like we're just chasing old functionality 90% of the time. Like we do a refactor and then we're just stuck re-enabling old features. And you know what? That's okay, I guess. It's like watching a tree grow. It's like just there's a little ring. It's like we have to go through the whole we have to re-implement like almost everything. I don't like this. I don't like this cutaway where we cut away the things directly above the cursor. I don't love that. I might change that. I might not though. Okay, here's what we expect. And now if I add another level on top, that's the idea here, is so we're going to add an additional level on top. See if our vertical cutaway works. Hey, Arneo. Having watched from the sidelines and having been around for, you think, at least 2 refactors, you can honestly say there's a noticeable improvement here already. I appreciate that. It's hard for me to tell. I can admit that. Yeah, this is the raised lip. You can see the threshold where we cut away, but we don't cut away at the same level. We cut away a little higher. We cut away everything above. Oh, so this is curious. So we don't actually respect the cutaway. The cursor mapping system doesn't respect the cutaway. You can kind of see how I go from here to back on the wall. That's curious. I'm coming around to the possibility that we need to triple buffer some of this stuff so that different systems can use it at different stages. Boy. Alright, let's figure this out then. Let's just do this the easy way, which is to do it like this and to go down. Whoop, like that. That cutaway seems weird. Huh. Oh, we need to keep going. I see. All right. Does this work? Does this kind of work? What happens if I go down to the lower level here? It kind of works, is how I would say that. Kind of weird. Oh, that's really wrong. What compartment is this in? Okay, I think this is going down instead of up, which is not good. I think it was supposed to be negative X for some reason. That's wrong. Arnia, you can't put your finger on exactly what is better from something on the system, but it just plain looks better. Other than the more obvious bugs, yeah. No, the small blocks, the little bite-sized, little individual blocks is a big improvement over the big compound blocks that we were using. Okay, this hierarchy is wrong. This hierarchy we're getting here. And I think it's the Z level stuff is just straight up wrong. But part of this interior cutaway is also wrong. Maybe this isn't an else if. Maybe this is just an if. Just in edit mode, we have access to this other cutaway model. That's probably better. No, let's leave it like this for now. So I guess this, maybe I did change this function. So if position Z block is not equal to default, sure. And so this part I don't get. And position Z block has negative X block and negative Y block. And rooms.count as 1. We don't do any of that for any of the rest of this. So why do we do this for the Z level? And why don't we do it for each room? Like, why is there such a different approach for this? And is it because of the way compartments worked under the old blocks, under the old block setup? Which I guess I could bring up on the diagram screen here. I don't know if I have this on hand, but you know, maybe I do. Not overlapping blocks. We were curious about the block overhaul, the decomposed block. Yeah, so the old block was this compound thing that consisted of a floor plate as well as some bulk pieces that either could be there or not there. And so like a door would be like this whole thing, and it would be part of the block. It would have like a floor under it. And it was this big thing, and it was unwieldy. And now we've switched to a block is just a single piece. And if you want to build something like a door, you build it out of multiple blocks. And there is no concept of like this like empty space inside the block, which will be interesting and will have some consequences in the future. But at the moment, it's much better. This used to be the negative Z block. I guess let's try that. Negative is below. Hey, Mr. Magoo, how's it going? Yeah, I actually don't know how to make the Z thing work the way I want it to. It seems like it's doing the opposite. It seems like what we're getting is it's creating a hierarchy from the bottom up instead of the top down. Once we account for the Z level stuff. How you been, Magoo? Let's try this again. See what happens. Excuse me. I want to change something about the way the exterior cutaway works first. So Z equals cursor coords dot Z plus 1. So I actually want X to also, I want all of these to be plus 1. Do I only want to check the Z then? I guess I want to check these. So we'll say if cursor coords dot. Can I say any cursor coords? We have any equals. Did I write this? Is this mine? Yeah, it is, huh? Why does it take an int, though? Hey, Commander Apollo. How's it going, everybody? Happy Thursday. So I wrote these. They only work on a I want to write these where they work with vector. I don't think I did that already anywhere else. Yeah, I'm just going to write a vector version of these. I guess all greater than is dumb. I don't actually need that. Compare to already does that. Commander, you're going good on your end. You've been super sick. You're taking some time to work on your blog. Ooh. Dev blog. It's a blog about everything you like pretty much. Currently writing about programming languages as a form of art. Ooh, that's neat. That's neat. I'm going to just do the one of these that I actually want right now, which is any equals. Also, this doesn't take the other vector. Quiet Iliad? Yeah, sorry. Commander, you're going to head out. Your internet's crapping out. You'll come back a little later. All right. Take it easy. Good luck with your blog. Can a bear get a link? Yeah, to the blog. Yeah, please share the blog stuff if you're comfortable. In the Discord, if you like. All right, so we have our any equals that we can plug another vector into. That's pretty much what we wanted. So we just want to say if cursor.chords.any equals, we want to say block.space.maximum. So if that's true, we'll just need more return. Okay. Now we test. You'll post in the Discord later? Yeah, please. That sounds really interesting. I don't think a lot about programming languages. I kind of know the couple that I know, but I don't know them well enough to, attempt or think about. Oop, that didn't. Yeah, this will be fine. I don't really know enough about him for any meaningful discourse. So I love hearing about other people's opinions about him. I'm gonna make this a little wider. So here's the cutaway. Ooh, that's not exactly what I want. Maybe it is what I want. Yeah, you can still see it. It's still cutting away so you can slightly see it. Maybe it's a little too conservative, but I prefer that over like a too twitchy cutaway. For just the editor, mind you. It's just for the editor. So if we do this, we get that, we get that. So as you mouse through these areas, it cuts away so you can see inside them. And then the thing is, once I start adding more on top, we get some weird behavior. Oh. All right, calm down, cutaway system. There we go. Oh, what's going on there? Because any of You still manually controlling one of the axes? Sometimes. Okay, so yeah, that's wrong. So yeah, it's looking down instead of up for some reason, which is not my reading of how that should work, but oh no, this is right. You know what's probably happening? We're probably hitting like a threshold, like a wall, and we're like misunderstanding something. Yeah, like this I don't understand. Like this looks fine, but this one's a little too... Like why are we cutting away underneath? Like this is all fine. I don't understand why this is what we're seeing here. All right, let's try to understand why that's happening. I guess I need a little bit more information. To really understand what's happening here. Because here we're looking at the blocks in front of us, which seems correct. I think we need to do something. I think we need to do it within here. I think this process made sense with the old block shape because the only information we had was about the floor. Like the old way this worked, you just had the floor. So you'd have to look at the floor of the block above you to get any kind of idea about this stuff. I think there's some holdover affecting the... I fixed the flood fill. The flood fill should be fine. So yeah, we're using a vector 3 set of neighbors, which includes all the diagonals and stuff. So for each room in rooms, I don't like the way that I've structured this. It's a little confusing. So if we're in this room, so we're in a given room, our cursor's in a given, or not our cursor. We're iterating through a coordinate. This coordinate has a set of rooms that it belongs to. We're trying to make the determination about what rooms block other rooms, so we're doing this kind of look back thing. Actually, we're doing a look ahead is what we're doing. So we're saying, so for each of the rooms that this block belongs to, or is a partition of, or whatever, we say, okay, does the block in front of us along the x-axis have this room? Like, is this part of the same room? Okay, if it is, and if the y block also is, or if it's not the positive y block, if the negative y block has the room and the positive y block does not, and the negative y block does not, so that would tell us if we're on like a back corner, is I think what we're trying to say. So if the positive x block has the room, and the positive y block has the room, excuse me, sorry for the yawn. But if the positive y block does not, doing this in the wrong order. Positive x block, positive y block. Positive x block is yes, positive y block is no. But the negative y block has it. The positive y block does not have it, and the negative y block does not have it. We're checking to see if we're on one of the diagonal edges. One of the diagonal corners. That's what we're doing. Pack it in. Everyone yawned. Stream is unwatchable. Yeah, I know my energy levels flag a little bit. Just wait till we do one of our game jams. Oh, excuse me. Okay, I want to integrate the z-axis check just right in here. I want to say if not, positive z block dot has room hierarchy dot span room equals hierarchy dot span room dot set positive z block dot clear room. I don't totally understand this still. I think I just... So there isn't a room. So this room is not here. Oh yeah, we're just trying to make sure that our room is not represented. But I don't think that's necessary. Yeah, like if it doesn't have this flag, why are we clearing it? That also seems wrong. Like I should just be saying... So we're passing in a value. Trying to pass in all of this stuff, but we're trying to clear this specific. We don't need to do that because we're already screening for that. So yeah. Just gonna do that. And this is like an inclusive set, right? Value.set rooms. Or equals flags or value. Okay, seems fine. Feels like tired Dave is getting work done though, so you feel like you should cheer him up with distractions. That's funny. It's very slow. You just kind of continue to just crunch along. It's not a great look, but yeah, slow and steady progress is kind of just, that's your bread and butter. All right. Am I trying to increment to like get the positive Z block stuff in here too? Because I feel like that's causing part of the problem. This is like almost impossible to like reason about, and I'm gonna make it worse. And so this one says if positive X block does not have this room, but the positive Y block does, and the negative Y block does, these don't. Yeah, I'm just stopping myself at these corners. That's what I think I'm doing. Which I want to also do for the Z, but I don't know how to incorporate that Z-axis stuff there yet. Let's see where we're currently at if we just do this naively. You know what I can do? I could do this via cutaway, can't I? Right. Oh, I can't cut. Okay, here we go. So we do this. I can't actually see my cursor. Interesting. Okay, the cutaway doesn't quite work for that. Okay, this seems unaffected. Now if I raise another layer. Thought I was going to have all this energy when I came back from vacation. It's not really how it works. I have a certain, like, peacefulness or, like, restfulness or something, but I don't have this, like, well of energy. Kind of just cruising along here. Okay. Not okay. Okay. Also very much not okay. So I know what's happening. What's happening is we're looking at the floors of these rooms, I think. And the floors... Yeah, we're looking at these floor pieces, and the floors are saying, hey, I belong to this upper room and this lower room. And the thing is, we actually don't want to add the lower room to the hierarchy, right? Oh, I don't like that asymmetry. Must have broken something else. That's kind of weird. Hey, Marticus, how's it going? How are you doing? All right, I think that's what these branches are telling me. Good, slow and steady progress. Nice, nice. That's all you can ask for, really. Even getting it to be steady is like extra, right? Next, a small Chili update. You sat down on the couch where under it Chili was hiding, and after around 5 minutes, she slowly emerged. You gave her some snacks. She sniffed you. You're able to coax her out during the day, make her run circles to catch the red dot. She got scared due to the neighbor making a sound. She scurried back into hiding. Yeah, I'm sure it's going to take time. Cats are very kind of... They have weird behavior. Even once they've become comfortable, cats are just kind of weird. I don't hate cats. Massive progress. Yeah, that's great. I think it's great. I just think of how fickle cats can be sometimes. Which is fine. So can people. I actually relate to cats a lot, I think. In their kind of weird, sovereign social anxiety that they all seem to have. I'm very allergic to cats, so I have kind of a complicated relationship to cats. Like, even just visiting someone who has cats is like an ordeal for me. Like, if I'm hanging out, if I'm staying overnight at someone's place that has cats, oh, it's not good. I think it's kind of colored my... Yeah, the Chili updates are great. I'm not trying to denigrate the Chili updates or say we don't appreciate it. I love the Chili updates. My mind is just wandering. And being live, I'm verbalizing the wanderings of my mind. Just so Arnia doesn't call me... Oh no, Magoo. It was Magoo that called me Quiet Iliad. Oh, yeah. I'm telling Nyx. You hope by tomorrow you could also pet her. That'd be one of the best updates. Yeah, that might take some time. All right, so here's what I think is happening. And I think this is borne out. Because the way we're handling the walls is also the way we need to handle the floors and the ceiling, which is new. So what this is doing, this is saying, so we have our block. This would be a great time for a diagram, but I'm not quite sure I'm gonna do one. If I can't figure it out, I will. It's good to know that you'd still post the updates even if no one wanted them, Nyx. But no, everyone likes it. When I get around to actually updating the Discord with like new stuff, like new Discord channels and stuff, I'll try to get a pet tax. might rearrange some categories and stuff and have like a more sharier, whatever, channels. Trying to figure out how to do it in a way that's nice. Might start to incorporate more quote-unquote forum channels. So like if Diginanigans wants to post an update to like their project, they could post it to like a thread of, not a thread, but you know what I mean. Like an entry, like the way showcase channels work on a bunch of different servers. I'm thinking about that stuff too. Nix, you'd be sad if the game doesn't have cats in it. Oh, I don't know if it's going to be cats exactly, because I don't know if I can draw cats, but there are going to be pets. I think about like the dome keeper pets that just kind of hang around inside the dome. It's going to be like that. There are definitely going to be pets, for sure. Cats seem like a good choice, both for like nerd cred, like the cat from Alien, whose name I don't remember. Also the dog from The Thing. Yeah, be careful of what random pets you adopt in the grim darkness of space, right? You might get The Thing. Lo-Fi Flyby desperately needs a space cat pet to hang in your ship on the. I'm right there with you, Rhiannon Journey. I'm barely figuring out how to like draw and animate bipeds. Quadrupeds is gonna be like a whole thing. It'd be great if the random names would be full of the server's pets. We could do stuff like that. Would starships have had a rodent problem the same way sailing ships did? That would be hilarious if they do. That would be fun. Yeah, you always need a cat in space settings, alien style. Yeah, it's good. There's Spot from Star Trek. There's the cat from Alien. There's Captain Archer's Beagle, whose name I also don't remember. All right, so here's what I'm thinking. I know I keep distracting myself. So you've got a block. We have a block that we're considering. We're considering the rooms in that block. If we're only considering, oh, we're actually building a whole hierarchy, right? I forgot. We're specifically looking at like the boundaries between rooms. Do I also care about the negative Z block? I probably do, huh? Let's add that. Just in case I do think I need it. For... So this says, so we've got our block, we've got our room. We're saying, okay, this is one of the rooms that this block is a part of. Let's look at the positive X block. Does that positive X block also have that same room? Okay. Does the positive Y block have the same room? If they both do, then we might be on a forward corner. And that's kind of what we're trying to check. We're trying to check to see if we're in a forward corner. And then so for some reason, so if we're in that situation where both blocks in front of us have the room, we just continue. Or if the positive X block has that room and the negative Y block has that room, and the positive equivalents don't, so positive Y block, positive X block, negative Y block. So that's another corner. So we're checking corners, which I know I talked about already. We also need to do something for the verticality. Which I kind of see why we were doing the vertical part in a separate section. So the thing we want to check with this positive Z and negative Z thing is we're like, okay, so we're here. We want to see, does the positive Z block have this room or have this room? If it, actually, the positive Z block is up. So we want to say, does the positive Z block have this room? If it does, then we're not concerned. If it doesn't, we want to check some things before we just start adding these flags to the hierarchy. So if we identify that we're at like the ceiling, I need to figure out what the corner test is for the ceiling or whatever. Yeah, so that's kind of the thing I was trying to solve before with this section up above that was written separately, which maybe we want to go back to doing that part separately. What we were doing before is we knew that the floor of the block above us would have our room, the room that this block is in, as well as the room of the block above it, assuming it's not just outer space. Hey, no Joel, maximum warp. If the block above us isn't just the boundary to outer space, and it's a block for a room above us, we actually do want to include that, huh? Okay, so the case that we're interested in is when the block that's under consideration is actually the ceiling block. And the block above us is part of another room, and the block below us is part of another room. And where the boundary, where the junction between the two. In that case, what we want to do for some reason. Okay. The problem with what's happening now is we're like cutting into a floor, or we're not cutting into a floor. Well, we are. And then we're accidentally including the room below as part of the hierarchy. The compartment hierarchy should just tell you a list of the rooms that are above and in front of the room under consideration. So it should not consider that room below, but it is right now. It's considering it right now. And that's the problem. I really hate the way that I wrote this. It's like deeply confusing. Sometimes elegance is like, or minimalism is not, should not be the goal with the way you write your code. Maintainability should be the thing in these long projects. So how do I incorporate that Z check into this? Do I try, really? Because this is to capture what would otherwise maybe happen here. So if not positive X block has room, hierarchy.span room equals hierarchy.span room set positive X block. This isn't sufficient. I also don't think this check is right. Because we're like arbitrarily going through every single block in the buffer. And then we're going through every room for every block in the buffer. So what we really want to do is we want to early out as much as possible, which is part of what the point of this is. I don't think I want this conditional check, really. Unless I want to break this out into individual components, which would be better. Like if I could break this out into this just affects this versus this just affects that. Yeah, so I think what we want to do is we want to focus on the walls. We want to focus on detecting when we're at a wall and how the interaction of the wall works. So if anything, I want to actually define, so the negative X, negative Y, and negative Z blocks, these form the inner neighbors. Positive X, positive Y, and positive Z blocks form the outer neighbors. And all we're really interested in, we're trying to add the outer rooms to this hierarchy and make for the inner rooms. So we identify, here's an inner room, here's an outer room. That outer room is obscuring the inner room. So we're trying to create that hierarchy, and we're somewhat succeeding in 2 dimensions, but we need to succeed in all 3 dimensions. That's the problem. And I don't like having written it like this. I'd rather handle each of these 3 cases maybe separately. Would maybe be nice. I actually don't know if we need to do it on a per room basis. I guess we do because that's how we index into the hierarchy. Maybe we can create something. Let's try something. Let's try some stuff. I feel like this is what I'm going to be working on tonight, trying to get a better understanding. But we'll keep trying some stuff for now. We've still got time. We're heading into our second ad break here. We got enough water, which means I haven't been drinking enough water. All right, so what I kind of want to do, so forget about this room maybe. Well, we are trying to build a per room hierarchy. I kind of want to identify the rooms that are different. The other problem is we do diagonal flood filling. So we do it diagonally so that we don't have a situation where you have, you know, it's that problem, that classic problem of like the square where you have 4 squares that meet. And how do you get from one square to the catty corner square without crossing the other 2 squares? It's like, it creates an annoying problem. So we actually flood fill diagonally to prevent that from happening, but I should consider that here. So here's what we're gonna try. I'm gonna try to say, I'm gonna consider not doing it within this loop, but we'll probably need to do it within the loop. So we need to identify when we're at a wall or at a corner. Like along a wall or at a particular corner. Okay. I don't think this needs to be done diagonally though, for whatever reason. So should we do it per room? Probably should. So instead of this nonsense, what if we say something like, if... I'm sure this is going to end up looking like this other one. I just need to like rewrite it so I actually understand how it works. Has room. So if this positive X block has the same room that we're part of, that's great. If positive X block has this room and negative X block does not, that's what we want. That's what we want to know. Because if that's true, we can do this. We can say hierarchy dot span equals set, and here we actually are going to say dot clear room. So positive X block has the room. Actually, that's not right. That's not right. What we want to do is we want to say the room is how we're indexing into the hierarchy. So that's the basis. So what we're doing is we're setting the flags for all the rooms that obscure the room under consideration. Which means... No, that's actually correct. We want to add all of the flags from the positive X block room, except this room that's under consideration. So we can tell we're at a wall if the positive X block has the room, but the negative X block does not have the room. Actually, that's not right. Could be more like this. It would actually be the opposite. If not X blocks dot has room, if the room in front of us doesn't have this room, and the room behind us does, that's it. That's the trick. That might work. But I don't think that's going to I don't think that's totally sufficient for what we're trying to do. Because that doesn't consider weird cases. I think this is going to be weird. I don't think I have an elegant way of doing this yet, but that's okay. We'll get there. I know that's not news to anybody. So why isn't the check this sophisticated here? Oh, it's because we're just saying, okay, if this has it, if this has it and this has it, then we're not in a position to do any of this. Actually, what we could do is we could say if positive X block dot has room and positive Y block dot has room and positive Z block dot has then we can just continue. Because we're in some interior space. And we don't care. But if we're not, now we want to start doing these checks. Can it be this simple though? It can't possibly be this simple. Well, here we go. We say if not positive X block has this room and negative X blocks dot has this room. Hierarchy dot span room equals hierarchy dot span room dot set. Clear room. I don't think I need to do that the way I've structured this. Because we know it doesn't have it. I mean, that's a good safety feature, but I don't think I need it. Who needs safety? I might regret that eventually. Let's just do this. Let's see if we can do it like this. I don't think this is gonna... I should stop saying I don't think this is gonna work. I don't think people are surprised. I just get nervous and I try to, you know, fill the dead air. But that's okay. I know people are working on their own thing. They don't necessarily need me to blabber the whole time. All right, we'll comment this stuff off. We'll try this approach. Try this approach and see how we like this. I don't think this is... Okay, stop, Dave. I was about to say it again. Do I think this is going to work, chat? All right, let's see what happens here. I've probably... I don't like whatever that was. Call this chat. I'm cooked, chat. Whoa, that was too much. Okay. Not okay. Not okay. Yeah, the corners are messing us up. So that's why we had that early out, is because we need to figure out when we're on a corner and not include the corner pieces. Because that's why you're seeing like this really aggressive cutaway. Like when we cut away this room, that's fine. But if we go back to the room behind it, here, let me do that. If we go back to the room behind it, we shouldn't also be cutting away this diagonally opposite room, but we are. And that's because the hierarchy thing is considering that. You know what's not going to work? This. When we have any kind of break. Trying to figure out how this is going to work if you have like empty space separating rooms that otherwise are obscured. I think we're going to need a different kind of check. But you know what? This is okay because the compartment hierarchy thing can be a slow process. It can be like the flood fill. It can be slow. as long as we get all the information we need. All right, so this isn't working because we don't have this corner checking stuff. So we want to have this and this. So if positive X block does not have this room, but the negative X block does, we still want a little bit of it. We want a little bit more checks here. So if we've identified that we're on a wall along the X, we want to make sure that we're not on a corner for Y or Z. So how do we do that? Just tell people to get a second or third GPU so you can push this stuff off to another compute shader. Yeah, there you go. There's a very small amount of the stuff that we need to do that for. I know it's funny and it's like a joke we have, but the only stuff we really need to put on that is stuff that needs to be ready each render frame. Ideally not something we have to recalculate each render frame, but something that we need. Hey, Sorcerer, Mac Studio. I don't have a Mac. I had a Mac Mini a long time ago. That is not something I'm going to have again for some time. Maybe if we're considering, you know, actually publishing the Mac. All right, so we've identified that we're on this wall. What we need to do is we need to make sure that we're not on a corner. And so the way I make sure that I'm not on a corner I don't care about the front corner so much. What I care about is the side corner. So the side corner. I actually don't understand why this is causing us a problem. I mean, I do. Part of me does, but I'm having a hard time visualizing it. The rumors of the next studio are off the chart. Yeah, I was just reading about how much money Apple spent to secure their supply of, like, DRAM. And it was a lot. It's a lot of money. I think that was in the context of the iPhone, but I'm sure they're taking a similar approach. How's it going, Sorcerer? Oh, this one's a little off center. That's fine. Okay, so this is right. This one, that's not right. So that's also part of the diagonal problem, I think. At a rumored price point, it would be hard to get a better deal on anything serviceable. The current budget, you're more likely to buy the rumored MacBook. No Air Pro revival. Yeah, I don't know. I'm lucky. I'm probably pretty good on computers for a while. I built 2 AM4 machines at the end of last year as backups for myself and my partner. My main system is like barely a year and a half old or 2 years old or something. But yeah, I'm gonna try writing out the supply chain stuff. But we'll see. It's not looking good for my Steam machine that I would like to have. All right. So yeah, this is not happening correctly, specifically because of diagonals. Like, this is fine, but if you look and we go over here, all of a sudden it eliminates so many different compartments, when all it really needs to do is eliminate this compartment and the wall in front of it, and not even this whole thing. You know what would be neat and what we could do that would probably be even better than this? I don't know how I would do it though. Actually, I do know how I would do it. It would be neat if, how to phrase this? It would be neat if there was a buffer that could tell us which blocks to clear for a given room. Because right now the way we're doing it is we're doing it full compartment. So like, to show this room, it's gonna erase this entire compartment, which is like maybe more than I want. What I actually probably want is for it to like, man, we could go so far down this rabbit hole again. You hope they go 16 gig on it. 16 gig doesn't even seem like enough most of the time nowadays for RAM. You're at the end of the cycle for all your gear, so the hype's hitting hard. I feel that. Your newest one is hitting the 7-year mark. That is a really good run. Yeah, I have a few old rigs that are gonna become like Linux boxes, and I'm excited to see what kind of weird little experiments I can do with them. But yeah, my newer hardware should hopefully be good for a while. That is a good run. You're close to 2-3 rigs for years for your rig. Yeah, one of the systems I just retired has like a 1060 in it. I think it might even have a Q6600 as well. It's like ancient. I can't be right about the Q66 thing. I must be misremembering a even earlier machine, but it does have a 1060. That I do remember. Be interesting to see what I can see what I can do with that machine. Nix, you have 64 gigs right now. It's barely enough for your work. Yeah, I make do with 32 because it was a lot easier to get very low latency, much faster, smaller sticks. I could not get 6 gigahertz frequency out of the bigger sticks I was trying, so I eventually switched. And yeah, 32 gigs is fine for me. We'll see how I feel once I start doing like video editing. If I do video editing. I mean, someday I will have to. Yeah, so here's the real existential crisis of this approach. Is like, this looks great, but if I want to cut open this room, I really just want to see the stuff in the way of this room exactly. I don't really want to cut away everything else. Not really. But I also don't want to do like this big volumetric, like have to check everything. I also don't want to have to have a buffer per. Oh, you know what we could have? It would just be a single flag for each block, and it would say, here are the rooms. Here are the cursored room, quote unquote, or cursored rooms, plural. Like here are the rooms under which I am cut away. Now that is something we could do. That could be nice. So you'd have a list of like, here are the rooms that I belong to, maybe. Yeah. And then you'd also have another list of, here are the rooms that I cut away for. And that could be a good shorthand for this. You just checked yesterday, 64 gigabyte DDR5, 6,000 megahertz. What, a 64 gigabyte stick or a kit? You said it was €1,000. That's crazy. I bought I bought 32 gig sticks and 16 gig sticks like less than 2 years ago for like normal prices. It was a kit, so 2x30. Oh, that's insane then. Yeah, I got my 32 gig sticks for, I still have them. I should sell them. Probably make some money. All right, are we rethinking this? I like the compartment hierarchy, but the problem is the compartment hierarchy like balloons out. And I don't know if I love the way it does it. Maybe I want to do something a little different. Ram sticks could be the currency in the post-apocalypse. Yeah, we'll see. Yeah, they'd be like ancient relics, like Brotherhood of Steel relics. Yeah, a hand-me-down approach is not bad, Sorcerer. That's kind of how I've gone a lot. Nix, you hope the AI bubble bursts and you can buy new hardware for less than a kidney per gigabyte. Yeah, you want it to burst, but we don't want it to burst all at once in such a way that the entire economy comes crashing down. So we don't really want a bubble pop. We want like a slight deflation. Because yeah, it's such a huge bubble at this point. All right. So maybe this is not the way I want to do it. Maybe the way I want to do it is I want to iterate. I want to go through each coordinate. Oh, this is like a one of, this is like a, this will take a while. This definitely could take a while. So what I kind of want to do is I want to go block by block. And then I kind of want to do the iterating. I kind of want to do that spiral iteration that we did for like the cursor. I kind of want to like look at a block and then do a spiral up towards the camera and cut away all of those blocks for that given room that block is in. But we also need checks. But I think I kind of want to do something like that. And that would have a more tight cutaway. Man, this is a system that I feel like is really hard to get exactly the way that I want. Because when I have that really tight cutaway, the thing we're going to complain about is we're going to be like, oh, there's not enough situational awareness of what's happening because you can only see into a room at a time. And it's like, okay. Part of the reason why we did it this other way. Which pushes me towards doing a thing where we have like a 2-stage cutaway where it's like you have your room, you partially cut away the rooms in front of that room, and then you fully cut away the rooms in front of those rooms. And that can get complicated. That can definitely get complicated. But that might be a nice middle ground so that you can actually still kind of see adjacent rooms. The thing that I'm imagining would be really tight. It'd be like really tight to the coordinate, and you'd be like drilling into the ship, which is cool, but I feel like it would be, you would not have enough situational awareness for that. Yeah, computer parts are tough. Yeah, it's really tough to get parts. It'll be kind of shocking if in the future it really is like an incredible. We go back to like, I mean, in the old days, if you wanted to have a computer, you would need a whole room dedicated to it, right? Because they were huge. They were not things you would just have. It'd be crazy if we go back to that kind of a world where it's like you really got to be like upper class to think about getting your own computer and not just renting time on someone else's machine. All right, I kind of want to do this tiered thing, which means I probably... Please don't take you back. Yeah, back to the good old days of mainframes. Whole rooms dedicated to computers. Jacob, have you seen a lot of pre-built? Oh, have you seen a lot of pre-builts are offering rentable computers? Though, yeah, those are such a scam. I've heard of lots of scandals with I forget who does that. I think it's like NXT or something. Who I like their cases, but I don't remember if it was them or Corsair. There's a lot of shenanigans occurring with rentable computers or leasable computers or whatever. Next, you low-key hope mainframes make a comeback. Yeah, I saw how IBM's stock price dropped like 20% or something like that, or 13%. It was some double-digit percentage points because like Anthropic came out and was like, our AIs know how to code in COBOL. We taught our AIs COBOL. And it was like, oh shit. That's IBM's bread and butter. Maintaining old mainframe computers. We'll hope, Arneo. We'll hope. The time when debugging meant looking through the physical computer for actual bugs. Yeah, or like having to make sure all of the fuses, all the vacuum tubes are like working correctly and stuff. Yeah, crazy. All right, so I'm tempted to diagram what I want. Tempted. I might work on this diagram tonight so that we have a strong idea tomorrow what we're doing. That helps me a lot, and I feel like it helps the stream too when I can do that. Where are my... Oh, they're way down there. I'm like, where are my palettes? I'm starting to lose interest in my custom palettes. I'm like seriously considering picking a pre-built palette again. I know I could use more than one, but... And that's probably what I should ultimately do, but tempted to try Zenith 251 again or something. Problem is my ramps are bigger. I have nice 9 shade ramps outside of black and so it's like black and white and then like 9 shades between the two. I haven't been able to find one that has such a similarly long ramp or as much hue shifting as mine have. I don't know. There are times when I look at it and I'm like, this palette's okay. And there's times when I look at it and I'm like, I hate this so much. I think that's part of doing it yourself. Like this ramp, like this is such a gross ramp. I mean, it kind of gives us some skin tones, but they're kind of weird skin tones. Hey, custom palette design stream. Fox. I'm like trying to talk myself out of using a custom palette. Like I have 2 different purple ramps. I have this one and I have this one. It's like, this is more of like a pink to purple and it's more like a violet. I don't know. I took a very maximalist approach of like, if I need a new ramp, I just make a new ramp. That's probably what I should do. But how are you doing, Fox Shadow? Are we diagramming, Rhiannon? I'm considering diagramming. I'm thinking about laying out how I want rooms to get cut away. Like our options. In the way that I kind of want it to work. I think it'll help me think. I think it'll help me think. I think it'll help me reason about some of it. Let's make a... Let's say... Let's say central room or something like that. Make this a background. I should have gone for the low sat. I also have high saturation and low saturation versions of the palette, of the same palette, which helps. And it's probably part of the reason I should stick to it. Your A-Sprite layout is interesting. Yeah, I really only like the one-dimensional palette. I don't do a lot of color picking, so I don't really care. I don't like doing this. I can't... Yeah, I just don't like this. I just leave it like this. Single column palette and layers docked on there. Oh, this moves. So if I'm working on a background piece and there's no animation, I keep it here. But if I'm working on a piece and it's got a lot of frames, I move it to the bottom. Like when I'm doing sprite sheets, I work like this. And when I'm doing just illustration, I usually work like this. It depends on whether I have many frames or I have many layers. So here I have many layers, and then when it's like this, I have many frames. So yeah, I have a weird kind of setup. Let's fix this background. And then, so the central room. We have to just build a block for a second here. I know I don't have to. I know I could, like, save these things. Actually, I need to do it like this. How's it going, Fox? What if you do have many frames and layers? I cry. It'll help you think about the way that you think about thinking. That is honestly what diagrams do, and it's kind of helpful. Okay, I think I know how this works. It's 6 interior spaces, right? This is right. So we're going to think about some of our options. So if we make this central room, let's help me out here. Not like that. So we have this central one here, which I think that's how that would work. Actually, I would need to go from the back forward, so whatever. So I'm going to make... what I should do is make this not opaque. I'm just going to make the interior of like this central room. That'll be the focus of the... We're just going to do a really simple example that's not complicated, because I feel like it could get complicated really quickly, but we're going to just make a little room. And then we're going to have a couple adjacent rooms. And we're going to use this to, like, test out the way we want the rooms to, like, peel away. And I'll probably work on this tonight and hopefully have a strong idea about how I want this to work tomorrow. because I think if I kept just programming, I would just be flailing about and not really thinking about the design at all. We're going to say central room, back walls. I guess we say blocks because they're not really walls. They're just blocks. You know what I should be making? I should be making an editor for my diagramming, right? So I can, you know, diagram more easily. I said, mostly joking. You know what would be helpful is if I did a wall as a separate thing. All right, we're reaching the end of our time here for today, but feeling all right about what we're doing. Is there a reason this won't fit? Yeah, it's because I'm dumb. This is going to be really hard to see. I'll probably clean this up, get rid of some of the outlines and stuff. Oh, man. Yeah, I blew it with this here. Like that. Everyone's having a good day. I'm confused about what day of the week it is because I had that little vacation. I'm pretty sure it's Thursday. So we're not quite done with the week yet, but it feels like we're tantalizingly close. Alright, so I gotta fix this. And I can just copy it to the other side once I've fixed it. Should have really fixed this side and done it the other way, but I'm not famous for my incredible workflow. I mean, I'm not famous at all, but certainly not for my workflow. Okay. Fix that. Just to make that a little easier to look at. Well, maybe the other way was better. Maybe it was better to see it the other way as individual blocks. Yeah. Oh, but now I have to fix this, right? That's easy to do. Okay, so this is the central room, and what we're gonna do, I'm I'm going to move it back a little. We're going to draw the rooms in front of it as they get cut away. Hey, no, Joel. We're trying to visualize how the cutaway is going to work. Block cutaway diagram. Maybe a compartment cutaway diagram would be a better way to say it. We're going to try out some different cutaway models before we bother programming them all in. And I'm actually going to probably work on this on my own tonight at my co-working event. And then hopefully I'll be able to come back tomorrow with a clear idea of what we're trying to do. Because just the straight compartment cutaway, I don't think is going to give us the behavior that we want. Because in principle, what we want, like here's a room, right? This room's ceiling and foreground walls are being cut away, but we can't see anything about any adjacent rooms. And like, that's not exactly what I want. Like, if you're cutting away, you should be able to see the room that you're cutting into, but you should also be able to see some of the adjacent rooms, because that's what you're going to be thinking about. You're going to be thinking about like, oh, there's some crew members in this room. What's going on in the adjacent room? Oh, there's a fire in that room. Do I like send them in there? Do I seal it off? Do I like vent the atmosphere? Like, and you want to be able to see more than one room at a time. So we need this kind of, I won't say tiered because we've already done tiered, but we kind of need this multi-room cutaway. So we need to kind of do a 2-pass where it's like the rooms immediately in front of the room your cursor is in, you still want to see them. So maybe we do like a partial cutaway, and then the rooms in front of those rooms, we do like a full cutaway. Something like that. This isn't too bad because this doesn't change once we're done editing the blocks, once we're done editing the rooms. So this is like an edit time thing we're figuring out. So it can be pretty involved and it can be pretty slow because we're going to like cache all of this sort of stuff and then be able to just look it up when we need it, when we're running the game. We considered opaque rooms in front. Not quite sure what that means, because I don't know what a transparent room will be. But yeah, essentially, if you think of it like, if you look at the scene behind me, there's probably a room on top of this room. That we'd have to totally cut away. But the rooms adjacent XY forward, the rooms forward along XY, we can do kind of a more nuanced cutaway with those, where we can like remove the foreground walls but still show a little bit of what's happening. I want you to just have a little bit more situational awareness. You may have meant transparent rooms. Yeah, I'm not sure what a transparent room would be either. Oh, you mean like maybe render them like semi-transparently? So like you can kind of see through them? That's an interesting idea. That might get kind of messy kind of quickly. Yeah, we also want to think about this in the case of what we're not doing now, but what we do want to do, which is separate the canvas items so that a canvas item generally represents a room. There's some advanced rooms that might need to be represented by multiple canvas items, like some weird room shapes. But we want to keep the rendering of the individual rooms really stable as much as we can. I don't know. I'm kind of rambling at this point. This is definitely the point at which I need to get back to work. But I think I know what we're working on. Well, I mean, we'll keep working on this tomorrow, but I'm going to spend a few hours tonight. Really try to diagram out my thoughts so that I actually have a visual aid when I try to explain what I think I'm doing, which I think really helps. Otherwise, it's just me staring at code, just being like unable to share my mind's eye, how I see it going in my mind. But yeah. I think that's it for today. I gotta go back to work. I appreciate everyone just hanging out here. I know this was, as usual, not terribly productive, but we had some good stuff. We had a strong start.
Maximum warp.
Thanks, Nix. Thanks for the stream. Thank you, Jacob. But yeah, we'll be back tomorrow. Yeah. Peasant, you just got here. Well, you're late. But you can check again and you can try again tomorrow. More productive than what you've done today. Yeah, I guess that's all we can try for. Thanks, Arneo. Thanks for hanging out, everybody. I hope you all have a great rest of your day. Thank you all so much for watching, and I'll see you all next time. Bye.